Hey guys, Nixxes, and welcome back to another wrap-up. It's been a while since I've done one of these, and this wrap-up is on Spider-Man Miles Morales. Ooh, there's a case. I got the physical copy. I'd have my original game physical copy here too, but I gave it to my sister, so it's somewhere else. This video is pretty late, based on when I finished this and stuff. Like, I probably could have done this like almost a year ago at this point, but I was kind of kicking around whether or not I even wanted to do a video on Miles Morales, but I figured I did make a video on the first game, and I might as well make a video on this one. This is kind of second game. So, yeah. Let's talk about Spider-Man Miles Morales, I guess. I've been trying to write this video for a while. I finally got it done, and I figured I'll slot it in around Christmas time since the game is set in Christmas time, and since it's like parallels or whatever. But I finished playing this game like a while ago at this point, back in like April of 2022. I've been kicking around whether or not to even make a video on it. It's not like a bad reason why I've been having trouble. The issues are that I like the game, and I sometimes have trouble describing why I like something more than why I don't, and Miles Morales isn't that different than the first game. There are differences. Some of them change the whole flow of combat and the way you play the game, but at a macro level, this is more of an expansion of the first game than just a full-blown sequel. This is especially seen when you look at the length of the game. How Long to Beat cites the first game as being around 17 to 18 hours, not including the DLC, whereas Miles Morales is more like 7 to 8 hours, and that doesn't have DLC. I can't remember exactly how long my playthroughs were, but for both games, I immediately did New Game Plus runs after finishing the story, and in both games, I got the Platinum Trophies. I really like both of these games. I have some criticisms of the story in Miles Morales and the way it perpetuates the frequent trope we've been seeing in modern media, especially Marvel, where the well-intentioned villain does something objectively terrible, so we can just kind of write off the thing they were fighting for somewhat. Falcon and the Winter Soldier does a pretty similar thing with its main antagonist, but gameplay is an overall improvement over the first game. Miles plays a bit different than Peter did in the first game. He has his own subset of spider powers and slightly different wind conditions to his encounters. There are some of Peter's abilities, like Impact Web, that I did miss playing as Miles, but Miles' set of powers feels good to play on its own. The biggest change, in my opinion, is that Miles can re-engage stealth, which is honestly one of my biggest issues I had with the first game. With this ability, I imagine you can pretty much full stealth Miles Morales, which was not an option in the first game. Overall, though, despite some cool new things, it really just feels like a standalone expansion to the first game, which it kind of is, because if you buy the Miles Morales Ultimate Edition for $70, it's just bundled with the first game, even if it is like a remaster, whatever you want to call it. I just bought the standard launch edition myself because I already have the first game, but you know, that's how it was marketed, essentially, is the Ultimate Edition is Spider-Man 2018 and Spider-Man Miles Morales. It just really kind of is a standalone expansion, though it wasn't like labeled as one. And I think that's where my issue comes, is this is not so much its own game. It's a standalone expansion to Spider-Man 2018. And that's fine, because it's a really great expansion. And like I said, I really like both of these games. I think they are great. Both Spider-Man Miles Morales and the original game are games that I think are very cool, and I like them a lot. They're just games that are very similar, which isn't bad, necessarily. It just makes it kind of difficult to talk about them in a way that's not just comparative. You know, just talking about how this is different than that, rather than talking about this fully on its own merit. It's because of how similar they are. It's basically, like I mentioned, this is kind of just a standalone expansion to the original game. Overall, though, I'm very excited to see what they do with Spider-Man 2, because, you know, we've seen some trailers and stuff now. I want that Spider-Man-esque story where we have both Miles and Peter working alongside one another as Spider-Men, and, you know, I want to see what they do with Venom and all the stuff that, you know, we see is probably coming with this sequel. I really don't have much else to say about this game on its own. I'm basically done with it for the rest, unless I decide to replay it someday. I'm basically done with it. So because I want to sit on my shelf over here of games that I'm basically finished with. But like, I definitely recommend this game if you are a fan of Spider-Man, the first one, or if you're a fan of the character, you've not played the first one, you have a PS5 or whatever, you can pick up that Ultimate Edition that comes with both games, and you can play both of them. And that's a pretty good deal, even if it is at like $70 to get both games and the DLC for the original game and all that. Check it out if you're into Spider-Man. That's really that's the episode. I don't think this is going to be very long, but yeah, that's really all I got to say about all of this. So you got a description. You find a link, a beacons.ai link to, you know, all my stuff, my Twitter, Patreon, Bandcamp, Redbubble, etc. Go there, do the things you do in those places. Like the video if you like it, dislike if you didn't. Subscribe and keep with us in other shows. I don't do this one so often, but I do have a couple other wrap-ups that I'm working on. They're a bit slower going because I have to finish games and write more scripted stuff and all that. So I do have at least 2 other ones that I'm working on right now. So subscribe if you want to see those sometime in the future. Leave a comment. What do you think about this compared to what do you think about this on its own? What do you think about this compared to the first game? And are you also excited to see what they do with Spider-Man 2, and what are you excited for them to see? What are you excited to see about it? Those are my questions. Share the video, do the things. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.